The Sega Saturn. Cast your minds back to 1996 when we didn't really have internet. There weren't things like Insomnia or EGX or, conventions to go to. All we had for gaming information was magazines, and I have a very big soft spot for magazines, I must be honest. Looking through these are like looking through old relics. They're like old photo albums of the past, and every now and again after a few beers I will open one up and have a little look through and feel sad that it's not the way that it is anymore. And I've recently looked through my old back catalogue, my old collection of Sega Saturn magazines, and I thought I'd pull a few out and have a little look through. I don't know how rare these are these days. I mean, presumably they're not the most common of things. I don't think they sell them on the shelves anymore, and I'm pretty sure this magazine went out of print probably nearly 20 years ago. In fact, when was this one? June 1996. So really, this is nearly a 20-year-old magazine, and wow, it really is as well. I think I even have the April edition, so I may have to pull that one out. But this is issue 8 of the Sega Saturn magazine. Official Sega Saturn magazine. I'm not sure if this was the one that was released in America as well. It may very well possibly be. But first off the bat, that never got released. This is one of the things that often happened in magazines. They would have misinformation. It's not like today when you go to a convention and you know everything that's there because you've seen it on the internet. This was all you had to go on, and I remember actually seeing Heart of Darkness and sort of semi-forgetting about it until it actually finally came out on the PlayStation. I swear to God, I remember seeing a Sega Saturn magazine which had Final Fantasy VII screenshots in it. I'm sure, almost 100% sure that I have that magazine somewhere, but I can't bloody find it. So let's get started and have a little look through. This is issue 8, June 1996. Just something a bit magical about it. I think it might be that it's littered with old polygonal screenshots, but there you go. Oh, not my camera. Gex. I never liked that game, Crystal Dynamics, before they got really, really popular. But for the Sega Saturn, I bet it was quite a big title. I know it was. I think was it released on PlayStation? I think it might have been. But yeah, never really took my fancy, that one. Of course, Daytona USA, one of the best games ever made for the Saturn. Virtual Cop 2. I remember getting that for my birthday. I was so excited to see my dad coming from his car holding that big massive box which had the big blue gun in. Call them that was an exciting day to be alive. So what we got. Actually, no, let's not look at the contents. We don't want to ruin it for ourselves. Alien Trilogy. That is actually a pretty damn good game. Much better on the Saturn than the DOS version, I'd say. Although not really fitting with the canon of Alien. I wouldn't say it's really a trilogy. It's more, well, it's just its own thing, isn't it? There's no Alien 1 in there. There's very little aliens. It's mostly Alien 3 with guns, which doesn't make any sense if you ask me. But a bloody good game nevertheless. And here's something that's really missing from, if you ever read like Games TM or Edge or something, this is something that's missing from magazines today. If you can just see that through the camera there. A hearty welcome from Chimp Corner. You just don't get stuff like that anymore. Welcome to a new regular newsy thing where you get the chance to win a new game every month. And you don't even need to do anything except drop us a postcard. Remember postcards when you had to enter competitions that way? Held in conjunction with HMV. One of their Game of the Month, shouldn't that be Games of the Month, will wing its way to one lucky reader picked out of the bag on 20th of June. This month's, notice the lowercase t after the full stop. Not very punctually accurate, these magazines back in the day, but that's one of the charms of them, I do believe. This month's game for grabs, the cheeky, bubbly and curvaceous Guardian Heroes. Can't say fairer than that. All you have to do is tell us who were the developers behind Guardian Heroes. So there you go. What we got here? Fighting Fantasy. Remember the Fighting Fantasy series of books? I do. In fact, I have a collection. No, I don't. I have manly things like football cards. Hey, us neither, but apparently these were really popular in the early 80s. In fact, they sold over 18 million copies worldwide. Anyway, Domark, have double space, decided to convert the 6th book in the series into a game. And it's Sega Saturn bound in November. I added the word Sega. That's my edit there. As you imagine, the title, it's a 3D dungeony RPG game. I love that they just make up words. Dungeony. Brilliant. Which sees you, stingy warrior, battle against a kind of troll-type creatures in a bid for total dungeon supremacy. Released on PC before any console, the title already causing a stir and is being overseen by the original Fighting Fantasy author Ian Livingstone. More on this one nearer the time of release. But here's a few early screenshots. I don't know if you can see these early screenshots. There appears to be a woman's pixelated arse. That's lovely. A bloke not getting stabbed. And looks like a mouse with a gun. Sorry, I've knocked the microphone again. Fade to Black for the Saturn. I'm not sure that ever got released neither. Although it looks slightly nicer than the PlayStation version, though I'd reckon that would be the PC release. Here we have a release date schedule. This might be ever so slightly exciting. For May, we've got Euro 96, Lemmings, Discworld, Panzer Dragoon 2, Shining Wisdom. I always wanted that game, although it never doesn't look too good. Loaded. I wouldn't pay £40 for Loaded. Street Fighter Alpha, Valora Valley Golf, Defcon 5. I think I remember Defcon 5. That was actually quite good. What else we got? June, Guardian Heroes, brilliant of course. NHL Hockey. Never liked hockey games. Never liked how small the ring was. Destruction Derby, great game of course. Baku Baku Animal. Don't think I've played that one. In the Hunt, doesn't ring a bell. Darkstalkers. I think that was a pretty good port of the arcade version. Mortal Kombat 3 of course. Again, never a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I always found it to be a little bit... July, Destruction Derby. Hang on, you've got... So in June we've got Destruction Derby, and in July we've got Destruction Derby. Brilliant bit of fact finding there, lads. Shining Wisdom. Didn't that just not... So hang on. This doesn't make no sense. So in May we've got Shining Wisdom, and in July we've got Shining Wisdom, Discworld, and 3D Lemmings. Discworld's also in May. In August, Story of Thor. So at least I got one right. Maybe it means the Japanese releases and one's the EU release. I honestly don't know. Sorry if I'm not keeping the camera in line with the article there. It's quite hard to do this through a viewfinder and through my own two eyes. Back for good. After the announcement last month that the Sega Saturn's price would temporarily be dropped to £249 for a period of 4 weeks. That's quite a lot of money, isn't it? I mean, considering you can get a PS4 for that these days, and back then, 20 years ago, that must have been about, I don't know, 350 quid or something. What's that in dollars? 500? I don't know. Where was I? For 4 weeks. We're now pretty happy to announce that the price will remain at this low point forevermore. Probably because no one's buying the console. You'll notice that the PlayStation price remains high. Yeah, fuck the PlayStation, and will remain so for the foreseeable future. According to Sega, the price slash has had punters breaking down shop doors to get hold of the Saturn, and the gap between the number of PlayStations and Saturn sold is becoming even smaller. I don't fully believe that, but God bless them for trying. Sorry. Apologies to everyone who is a bit irked with the PAL conversion of X-Men, despite being guaranteed by Acclaim that the PAL version will be full screen, full speed. The final retail version did not live up to its promise. At the time of writing, it is impossible for us to know if this is going to happen, and therefore we'd just like to say sorry. We're pretty fed up about it too. It's really hard to read bold text, especially when I've got this massive lamp behind me. So that's a bit strange. The PAL version of X-Men didn't run full screen or at full speed apparently, but isn't that one of the games that used the RAM cart? That might have fixed it. Oh, the HMV charts. Let's see what's number one. X-Men Children of the Atom. That is actually a really good game. Virtual Cop, brilliant. Sega Rally, great. Wipeout, incredible. Golden Axe the Duel. Don't know. Oh, I suppose would this be? Is it just Sega Saturn games? I suppose it was. I don't remember that game at all. F1 Challenge, FIFA 96, Wing Arms. Never heard of it. Magic Carpet. I never played that. The screenshots looked amazing, but I could never really figure out what kind of game it was. It looked like a cross between Panzer Dragoon and Prince of Persia. There you go. The Sega Saturn magazine charts, I assume this is their highest ranked ones. Street Fighter Alpha, Panzer Dragoon 2, Euro 96, X-Men Children of the Atom, blah 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 blah. Ah, fucking hell, I remember this stuff. Oxy, a daily face wash for people who had acne. And that is a very classic 1990s advert right there. It doesn't tell you anything other than there's this guy, he's wearing the jumpers his mum's bought him. For some reason he's got a fluffy little dog there, which is tying up an old lady trying to get to the post box. If that doesn't tell you acne cleanliness, I don't know what will. Right, what have we got next? Tomb Raider. Yeah, that was a fine game back in the day. Not a bad port for the Sega Saturn. It's quite rare to get quite a lot of screenshots of a game in a magazine back then. I think they were quite hard to capture, but presumably they're from a previous port. I don't know if this was out on the PlayStation yet. What else we got? Crime Wave. I've never heard of that game. It looks like Micro Machines. Oh, there goes my phone, messing up the video. Swagman. I love this sort of plasticky pre-renderedness. If you've played something like Shining the Holy Ark, you'll recognise these kind of, lighting already applied, very early 3D Max, sort of that cartoon reboot style. I don't know, something about it, they're just appealing. I mean, now it would look endlessly terrible, but it's got a real nostalgic retro feel for me. Always reminds me of breakfast cereal. Maybe you remember Golden Grahams, I think, or something like that. They had a very similar character on the front. But yes, I've always been a fan of them. Don't care about football games. Quake, brilliant. There is no way that is a screenshot of the Sega Saturn version of Quake. Have a look how clear that is. That, for my money, is definitely the PC version. It's funny, if you look at Olympic football here, that back then, I don't know if you can see any of these screenshots, they might look like a green blur. That back then, that looked like real life, that did. We looked at that and we were like, bloody hell, it's like watching the television. And it probably was like watching the television, because televisions looked like arse back then. What have we got? Operation Backfire. I've never played or heard of this game. It looks a hell of a lot like Firestorm Thunderhawk 2, which is an absolutely amazing game. Endless amount of hours playing that. Now that is ahead of its time. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty, that. You can't beat that. It's beautiful. The mission stick. Brilliant. Always wanted one. Could never afford one. Although, I mean, it is a joystick, so it's going to look a bit phallic anyway. But that is particularly phallic, that one. But still, Sega could make something like that now, and it'd come out for about £300 like that bloody farming simulator pack. Gen War. I always wanted to play this. I remember seeing the box in the Software Shack, which was our local rental place. I always liked the look of these demons. They look like a cross between a xenomorph and something from what's that terrible game that I did a review of? Virtual Hyderlide. Or is it Virtua? I think it's Virtual. I can't remember. Game's terrible, but not too terrible. A lot of full motion video going on there. Probably the actual size of the resolution. That, thinking about it, what would that be? That's about, I don't know, 90 by 130 pixels or something. There was a lot of mech simulator games back then. They tend to be quite popular. I think Crazy Ivan a mech simulator? I think it was a way of getting around by showing less of the screen by having these, this JPEG or PNG file stuck on the front of it. Let's move on. Virtual Open Tennis, opposed to Virtual Closed Tennis. I don't really remember too many sports games from back on the Sega Saturn. I think there was quite a few. They tend to come out around the release of any console. I don't think they do it as much now, but it used to be you'd get like a sport, you get a racing game, you might get a football game, and you'd usually get some sort of fighting game. It was usually like Tekken, Daytona, and then a tennis game. It looks fairly okay for the time. One of the things that always let these games down was the crowds. I don't know if you had to see on the video, but yeah, they're just little cardboard cutouts, basically. Oh, same with the hedges. That does not look. Why is the Earth in the background? Are you playing on Mars? Although you'd be pretty close to Mars. I mean, what planet are you playing on that the Earth's that close? They really didn't think that through, did they? I like that there's also there that they've just chose to cut out one little person. I think that might be showing the awesome shadow effects, which appear to be clipping over her leg. But who am I to judge? I can't program for the Saturn. Road Rash now. Now here's the game. That's what you want. Absolutely brilliant game. I've got a copy of this still. It came in an amazingly big box compared to all the other Saturn games. It was like twice as wide, as if it was going to hold 4 discs, but it even had like a smaller instruction manual than most. It's the guy who plays Punisher, John Berenthal, whatever his name is. No, it's not really. It's Milwaukee John. $400. Yeah, great game, great soundtrack. I like these early games, especially things like Daytona and, what was the other one, Sega Racing. They had a problem with things clipping in as you went fast. But this didn't seem to have that problem. In fact, it kind of added to how good it looked. Yeah, I just love these the way that they've crudely just put the screenshots together, and we've figured out how to do a whiteboarder here, so we're going to put as many screenshots together as possible, so we can show off just exactly how awesome our whiteboarders are. EA Classics return! Racing! Shockwave Assault! I don't remember this one either, blimey, there's a lot of Sega Saturn games I've never heard of before. There we go, the cast of ER. This looks, actually it looks pretty awful, to be honest. Wow, it does look... I think it's because the sky is completely black. That's never a good sign. What even kind of game is it? It's a shoot 'em up. It looks a bit like that Independence Day game that was released. I think that was on Saturn 2, as well as the PlayStation. I guess that's your ship. It looks a little bit like a moth. In fact, it looks a lot like a moth. I wouldn't be surprised if it was called the Moth. Or Mothborough. He looks like a sad sloth. Bubble Bobble, or Puzzle Bobble, as this one is. Look at all those colours. You can't beat colours. I'm glad colour is coming back to gaming. With our last generation, I feel that we had an awful lot of brown sludge, and I wasn't much impressed with it. These are the kind of games I used to grow up with loving. That's always been a staple of Sega. They do like vibrant, brash colours. Cogs. Cogs was a big thing on the Saturn. You remember Clockwork Knight, Mansion of Hidden Souls, even Strand the Holy Ark had a bit of cog action going on. I think someone must have just rendered about 1,000 of them and just sold them to Sega, so they had to try and put them into a lot of games. Yeah, Bubble Bobble was great. Puzzle Bobble, probably even better. From what I'm aware, it's an arcade game, and I imagine a pretty good port, though I've never played this particular one. The Need for Speed. Run with your inner boy racer, or please don't. You could be doing donuts around McDonald's car park. That actually looks quite good for the Saturn. I think they really started to get the hardware down towards the end of its life cycle. Although this is 1996, so it's not too late in. Cue Chris Rea. Is that Chris Rea? I don't think it is. One of the major attractions in the Need for Speed is the spectacular nature of the crashes. When you play head-to-head mode, there are plenty of civilian cars on the road. Well, isn't that a fantastic thing? Split screen mode. Again, just a swarm of screenshots. And look how little... That's the review right there. Oh, it's a preview, but that's the write-up. Just that. These days, you'd have 2 full-page spreads and like 2 screenshots. And maybe, I don't know, a cheeky bit of art. Olympic Games. I don't remember ever seeing this one either. In fact, I don't think I've ever read this magazine, to be honest. Although saying that it has been 2 decades. This looks like a relatively fair attempt. Early polygon Olympic game. Though saying that, there is much to be desired with these textures here. What else do we have? That actually looks like a quite good screenshot. That, to me, would look... I'd put that on the box, that one. It looks semi-realistic. 8 out of 10 for effort, that one, lads. So what do we got? We got a archery, discus, 100 metres, 400 metres, high jump, javelin, fencing, hammer. Shouldn't be hammer throw, but hammer. Maybe it's a bit of DIY. Long jump, pole... Hang on. Oh no, high jump, long jump, pole vault, pistol. Is the pistol Olympic sports? Skeet, swimming, triple jump, weightlifting. But I suppose you've got to put pistol in, haven't you? Because everyone... even they even say, it's a bit like Virtual Cop. Virtua Cop, sorry. Hang on, fencing, stab your opponent many times, hammer, throw a heavy thing as far as you can. I love the amateur writing, it's absolutely brilliant. It's like, each magazine was just like a blog. Letters, I used to love the letter section. Let's have a look for a few. Let's start with Tales here, which I believe is from Sonic R, a game the less said about the better. To SSM, I am furious. Just this very minute, 11:44 on the 1st of the 4th, 96, to be precise, I read the teletext on news that Sega are selling their rights for Sonic to Nintendo. That's amazing. Not only because he mentioned teletext, but about Sega selling their rights to Nintendo. So they must have been advertising it as early back as 1996? I don't believe that's true. He might have just been guessing, and boy did he guess right. But this is way before the days of Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, so... who knows? As a life-saving cash injection, it says Sega won't be able to use Sonic again after Sonic Fighters in the arcade. But in issue 4, you said Sonic Fighters would be coming to the Saturn, and you said a new Sonic platform was on its way. I imagine that with the Dreamcast. Remember, we would be surprised again. Well, we are surprised, alright. We thought you meant on the Saturn, not the N64. It didn't come out with the N64, matey-o. Who's going to take Sonic's place? Bug? Question mark. Don't get me wrong. Bug is good, but Sonic is the best. Why do you think Nintendo would buy him if they thought he wasn't good too? In fact, good is an understatement. Pray this isn't true, as Sega made Sonic and Sonic made Sega. He's Mr. D out of made there, bless him. If they are so desperate for cash boost, they could at least make Sonic a multi-console character like Rayman. Very good idea. Please print this letter, as Sega's loyal fans have a right to know the truth. Cheers, Saturn Mag. Your mags are always great. But when is the next demo disc? That's from Gavin in Scotland. Gavin, if you're watching this video, get in touch. I'd quite like to ask you about your predictions. Oh, and they have a response too. You know, if you'd read that a mere 15 minutes later, the joke would have been on teletext. That's April Fool's for you. Ah, clever. Got the wrong page. Dear SSM, well done on a great mag. I've decided to send this letter because I noticed in issue 6 a few mistakes. You said to Anon, who thinks they'll be rich and famous, yeah, sure you will, that Tails came from the Green Hill Zone. Well, he didn't. He came from the Nameless Zone. I know this because sadly I used to read Sonic the Comic. But I don't anymore, thank God. When will you give us another CD? Everyone just wants a demo CD. You say this every 3 months, but it's been 4 months since the last. You bastards! In issue 6, you showcased Mech. Is this 3D Polygon, an ancient working title for one of your first Saturn titles, SSM, with a different name? I borrowed my mate's VC gun. Is that what it was called? Virtual Cop Gun, that's the one. Don't you think it would be better if it was heavier? And why can't we have a black gun like Japan? Like Japan? Oh, he misspelled in. You see, these are handwritten letters, and often handwriting can be a bit hard to read, but surely you can interpret that there should be an N after I in. Do you need an MPEG of the photo CD? Do you need an MPEG of the photo CD? How do we get our photos onto them anyway? Why can't we all get the Sega systems in the UK and the Wonder Mega made by Sega? Thanks for printing my letter, Eddie Thompson, Colchester, Essex. That doesn't make any sense to me. Right, let's read another one quickly, as I don't want to take up too much time on these. Lodging up in the house. Oi, oi, software company! Hurry up and get your arse in gear. A game with a schoolgirl in it. Release it now! I'll stop talking like that. I'd rather pay £1 billion for a Neo Geo and King of Fighters rather than a converter, so get it released in UK style now. Why? Because it's the best game ever, and I haven't even played it yet. Your Euro hardcore fanatic, DJ Hardcore Luton, Bedfordshire. What game is he even on about? Q&A, blimey, so we got more letters to... Hang on, if this is a Q&A, then what's this? Just letters, this is questions and answers? It's the same thing. Let's just read one quickly, as to not dwell on these for too long. Unless people actually want me to read these out, I could happily do a video of reading them all out. Probably a little bit more coherently than I am now, as I'm leaning over a desk and the blood's rushing to my head. It's making me quite hot and dizzy. But if I pass out, at least I've got footage and it'll be quite funny to put as a blooper. Anyway, ode to the demo disc. Dear SSM, please could you answer these questions? Number 1. When will Sega make any basketball games similar to Virtua Striker? Number 2. Is it true that Virtua Striker will be out on the Saturn? Number 3. Are Sega going to make an adapter so you can plug in some speakers to the Saturn? That's a very good question. Number 4. When is WWF coming out for the Saturn? Number 5. Will there be another demo disc? Everyone bloody loves that demo disc. The white Saturn was a thing of beauty, though I did not like... You might be able to see on the camera there. Let's have a little look for the... Hang on, let me do some zoom-ins in. Was never a big fan of how the red button and the shoulder buttons made it look like a little cat's face and tongue. Sort of de-adultized it slightly. Just think of the GameCube pad. Though I like the GameCube pad. I think it's good stuff. Sega's answer. 1. There is a Sega basketball game planned, but not based on Virtua Striker. 2. No, but you've got Euro 96, which is ace. 3. No plans. 4. July possibly. 5. Be patient, my child. So about 3 fob-off answers there. Oh, here's a big advert for Mortal Kombat 3. Slightly less safe than playing chicken blindfold on the M1. That's very British to mention the M1. With your legs tied together whilst juggling live grenades with one hand tied behind your back as a rabid pit bull leaps at you. Slightly less safe, yeah, I'll agree with that. One man and his dog. Ah, you see, here we go. Heart of Darkness. A game never released for the Sega Saturn. Which I'm guessing all the footage here is from the PlayStation version or the FMVs. Was it released on PC as well? I think it might have been. Yeah, I quite liked Heart of Darkness. It was, of course, I think, was it made by, well, what's his name? Eric Chahi, the guy who made Another World. Hey, what's this here? That looks like, oh, below, this is, yeah, that looks quite interesting. Oops, focus. Below, this is the screen editor, amazing, used to design how each level would look and function. Complicated, eh? Well, it looks like Lemmings, but that's pretty interesting. You didn't really get much behind the scenes stuff back in those days. I'm just trying to have a little look at all the icons here. It reminds me of, what does it remind me of? I don't know, it looks like a really complicated text adventure without a text parser. Like a point-and-click adventure game without a text parser. That's pretty interesting. And of course down here we've got some concept art and how it finally looked 3D rendered. It would have been better, I think, if it would stuck with the original drawings, but there you go. Well, let's just recalibrate. There we go. There you go. That would have been the most amazing 3D rendering you've ever seen back in the day. Still doesn't look too bad. You've got some nice transparency going on. There's some textures on the teeth. The tongue isn't too non-rounded. I always like these characters. It's actually quite it's one of them games that's borderline extremely kiddie and extremely sort of dark and almost disturbing. Like, you've got these weird nighttime creatures that combat you, but then you are a little kiddie went on this spacecraft to save his dog. If it was a film directed by David Lynch, it would be a lot darker, that's for sure. But no, I always liked that game. Never had any music in it. That only exacerbated the fact that it was creepy. I don't mind if my boyfriend plays with himself. Later. Panzer Dragoon 2. A panoramic world of wonder, and every level all hell breaks loose. A game with balls. Sega Saturn. I wonder who that is. She's probably dead now. Destruction Derby. Maximum Carnage. Okay, so this is one of the showcases. So basically, this is where I think this is where they've actually got a bit of information on the game, and it's not complete conjecture. So they've got a million screenshots, and basically just a little explanation of what each one is. For instance, here, a bowl of fruitcakes. This is where the fun really starts. Should you choose to enter the bowl, your objectives are simple. Firstly, steam in and try and cause as much damage as possible to the other cars, and secondly, try to avoid accumulating too much damage to yourself. That is a fun mode. There's the old Sonic's logo, sticking its little head up. They, of course, made Alundra, which is an amazing game. Nights into Dreams. I remember getting this game for Christmas with the 3D pad, as it was called, with the roller analog stick. And it came with Christmas Nights, and I was confused because I thought, this isn't the game I wanted. But I was happy nevertheless. And I think they had a sequel on the Wii, of all things, which I never played, but got quite good reviews. I've got this on Steam now, and it's yeah, it's not quite as good as I remembered, but it's still got a charm to it. There's a weird, I don't even know what she is, Christmas tree decoration. 10 points if you can remember the names of the two kids in it. I'm going to call them Bertie and Aisling. Win incredible Starstruck prizes. What does that even mean? You can't say that we at SSM don't offer the best prizes in the world. Well, you can, and you're entitled to your opinion. And winning the lottery might help be a bit better. But not even millions of pounds of lotto cash couldn't buy you this prize. Now that's wrong. But not even millions of pounds of lotto cash could buy you this prize, is what it's meant to say. Bloody hell. No wonder kids grew up stupid when I was little. Reading this shite. What is it? A copy of Sonic 1, which won't, admittedly, even run on your Saturn. What's so special about it is that it's signed by Mr. Naka himself, top Sega of Japan's personality, and the man responsible for the little blue chap finding his way into everyone's homes in the first place. That's a pretty good prize, actually, if anyone ever won that. Guardian Heroes Update. At last, a full UK version of this eagerly awaited slice of awesomeness cake has arrived in our paws. That's how people on the internet talk now. I say people, fucking losers. Yeah, Guardian Heroes, fantastic game. I think it was released on Xbox Live, and now you can get it on Steam and probably for your phone and your microwave and everything else. Real brilliant game. I saw this in Game Station when it used to be still a shop, and it was £9, and I didn't get it, and I've regretted it ever since. I mean, I've got it now, but I could have saved so much money. Here we go, some top quality photoshopping going on here. To target the real Sega enthusiast, call Chris Perra now on... What is that even for? Should we call that number? Let's call that number, shall we?
Calls to this number are not being connected. If you've dialed correctly, I'm afraid it means that the number is not available from this network.
Bollocks! Hacks, tips, cheats, codes. Win at console games with the console helpline. Earthworm Jim 2, cheats, helps, helplines, etc. Sega Saturn, PlayStation. Got a modem? Call this number for thousands of cheats. Got a modem? Why would it... I imagine it must have been if you got like a 8-baud modem, you put the number in and then they send you something. I'm not going to ring that number because I don't want my phone bill to be massive. I'm happy with the 0171. Oh, fuck it, let's ring one.
Calls to this number are not being connected.
Oh, same woman. I reckon it's her that's talking to me. Alright, let's just jump straight. Let's ignore the review index. Guardian Heroes again. They were really up on Guardian Heroes this issue. They must have got a pre-release copy. Just look at that nice artwork. That's what you want from a review. Not too wordy. Probably full of spelling mistakes and full of screenshots. Let's see what they gave it. Innovative, challenging, exciting, and tough. Guardian Heroes is a classic in every way. Buy it or we'll burn down your house. Well, that's not very nice, is it? Graphics 91, sound 90, playability 93, lastability 95. They're not wrong there. It still does hold up. What have we got next? Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah, never a massive fan of Mortal Kombat. 91% now, that's a pretty good score. Some nice screenshots. I'd say that I did have it on PC, and that's probably why I was never a massive fan on it. Playing with no, I didn't play with the keyboard. I had a Gravis grip pad. Remember them? Had 2 of them. They were basically a Sega Saturn pad, but with a slightly worse D-pad. And I got it in one of them. I don't know if you remember them boxes you used to get. You have like 4 PC games in one for £5. Usually things you wouldn't want. I think I had Mortal Kombat 3. It had what's that little game with the little robot? Bedlam had Bedlam. I think he might have had Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun and a soccer game that no one's ever heard of. But I probably did actually play quite a lot of Mortal Kombat 3. Completed it once and then never played it again. Striker. I used to play Striker because he had dirty tactics. Although watching people play it now, it's there's so many cheap moves and deaths in it. What's this? In the Hunt. In the Hunt? That's Metal Slug, isn't it? Is it not? If it's not, and it bloody well looks like it. Actually looks really good. I've never heard of that game. Quick to Google! So after quick Google, I mean I could have read this, but instead, it seems to be a submarine-based shooter. I'm sure you've all heard of it if you've played it. And just to give you an idea, when it goes for a relatively large amount, PAL on eBay. If you can tell, I got quite excited and thought, oh, I might buy that. But as I'm moving house on Saturday, might leave it until the next paycheck. But now that looks really good. I imagine, is it Essing? Oh no, it's THQ. Good old THQ, bless them. They did make some good games. Let's see what they had in the quick write-up to say about it. Nothing particularly new or exciting here, but In the Hunt is good fun to play, featuring loads of exciting battles and explosions, and it keeps the home fires burning for shoot 'em up fans. That's all you want from a review. That's all you want. Excuse you. 76%. Discworld. I remember renting this and never been able to get too far in it over the weekend and having to keep giving it back, and that was really annoying. And I think eventually my save became corrupt, and when I rented it again, it wouldn't work. Quite infuriating. And frankly, you should play the PC version because it's much better. Graphics 60? Oh, come on. It's a point-and-click adventure game. Sound, that should be 80 because it's got Eric Idle doing the voices. Playability 68%, lastability 82%. I don't know how you play lastability can outplay your playability. If you don't want to play it, then it's not going to last, is it? 3D Lemmings. I never played this game. I remember seeing it and thinking it looked absolutely great. Although looking at it now, it looks like some sort of weird pre-rendered Zool. But yeah, well there he is. Lemming Wedding, that's new. It's like aliens. The blocker, the floater, the vasher, the builder, the turner, the climber, the bomber, the digger, the miner. Say that 10 times quick. Let's see what it says. Although it looks new and groovy, 3D Lemmings can't hide the fact that it's showing its age. Nevertheless, for those who enjoy some damn good tough puzzles, it still has the potential to satisfy. Yeah, that sounds about right. Is that looks like Chupa Chups? Is that Chupa Chups? No, it can't be. Although a lot of this does look candy-ish. I only think Chupa Chups because that there reminded me of Zool, and that was sponsored by Chupa Chups all over it. Ah ha ha ha! Now we're getting into the good stuff. Zoom, zoom, zoom. This is what we want. Now let me pan up so I can. The prices of games back in the day. Right. What have we got here? Virtua Cop with the gun, $48.99. I'd pay that now. Wipeout, £30. Let's see, how much is Panzer Dragoon? Saga wouldn't be out yet. I always like to have a look for the games that are worth a lot of money now, and see how much they're worth. I doubt Shining Force would be out. Shinobi X, that goes for quite a lot now. That's 30. That's the cheapest one, $29.99. Starfighter 3000, shite version, but a great game. Thunderhawk 2, £40. Virtual Cop without the gun is $37.99. I bet the gun's quite a lot upon it soon. Guardian Heroes only £34. That's quite mad. What's the most expensive one? Let's have a quick look. NBA Jam. Sports license games always worth more money. Euro 96, £45. Wow. Let's have a look at some of these amazing peripherals. I always wanted the steering wheel, but never liked the games. That is my favourite generation of Sega Saturn pad there. You can't go wrong with that one. My favourite pad of all time, actually. You can't beat it. That is fucking ridiculous. Look at that. The Terminator. Of course, there's the Virtua Stick. I always wanted that. Oh, and it's not all Sega Saturn fun. We've got some Mega Drive games. I mean, some of these are more than the Sega Saturn ones. Sonic 3 for the Mega Drive. Funnily enough, I've actually found a few Mega Drive magazines, and Sonic 3 is on the front of one of them. I'll have to show that one next, maybe. Syndicate on the Mega Drive. Some 32X games. Mega CD. Is Snatcher on there? No, of course it's not. They dropped in price dramatically. Final Fight Mega CD. That was about one of the best ones. How much have they got Phantasy Star 4? Phantasy Star 4, £40. Oh, sorry, I'm not paying attention. Phantasy Star 4, £40. I'm pretty sure that was £100 when it came out. That's amazing. I want to go back in time and I'm going to buy that all for myself. What else we got on here? Mega Drive deals. So that's some more peripherals. I love the peripherals. It never occurred to me that the Mega Drive pad was based the bat symbol, especially this one. Satec Pad X. Zoom out a little bit. Action Replay Pro cartridge. Ah, there we go. Gold Star 14-inch colour TV. And got Doom on the go on it, £124. Gold Star 3DO, £90. Premier Game Centre, I believe that's just a desk. SCART Mega Drive 1 to SCART TV, £10. Mega Drive 2 to SCART TV, £10. Dust cover for Sega Saturn. I remember dust covers. Wow, that's a thing. Sorry if I'm all over the place on the camera. I'm not reading through the lens. Bit of manga. There you go, Guyver. Never watched it. Imagine advertising the PlayStation in a Sega Saturn magazine. They must have been off their rocker. Reserve.co.uk. Now they were the boys back in the day. You get a massive, massive catalogue of everything, and I think people used to sell their own things second hand. It was a bit like the bargain pages. What have we got next? Now these are what you had magazines for back in the day. Cheats and tips. Because really, how would you ever know how to do a fatality without someone telling you? I've never understood. I mean, I suppose nowadays they give you them on the in the option menu or in the instruction manual. Not that games have instruction manuals. But yeah, this would have been bloody useful back in the day. Probably could never pull any of them off. I can always do one fatality, and that's the uppercut into spikes, and that's the one I always go with. But yeah, some pro tips. Oh, blimey, you've got all of them, so pretty much for every single character. I don't remember the dinosaur. I think Striker threw a grenade at them. I remember the whirlwindy thing. Wow, he really did go for it. Shang Tsung! He was the teleporty guy, wasn't he? He could teleport up and around. The big boot. I don't remember the big boot. Jax grows and grows until he's massive and then stamps on his opponent, just like in Monty Python opening sequence. Well, I don't remember this. It actually looks better than I remember. That looks odd. Looks like I would say it looks like a cross between Alien and something a bit dirty. But then everything in Alien is dirty because it's designed by Giga. Rest in peace. Street Fighter Alpha. Warrior Dreams. I never played this, but from the screenshots it looks awful dark and murky. I imagine that's just poorly grabbed screenshots. I don't know if this was another one that required you to have the RAM card to be better. But it's Street Fighter, so, you know, it's good. It's fine. Good old, what's his face? Sagat, that's him. Look at the size of his arm. Look how disjointed his shoulder is. It's like he's got another shoulder growing out of it. I don't remember that character. Sodom. Sodom. I don't really think you need to. I don't really think you need to explain how to throw a lightning fireball. But there you go. Or Hadouken, as we all call them. Mean Machines Sega. I have a Mean Machines magazine. And I shall show that at some point in the future. Virtua Fighter 2, he was a brilliant game. I remember, but I didn't know about how to do counter-attacks for quite some time. It's just back in 8, if I remember. But if you played as Akira, you were the boy if you knew how to do counter-attacks. Or you could spam Jeffrey's throw, and you spin them around. What are these? Text messages. Mortal Kombat 3. 717313, rain can be found in the graveyard. What are these? In addition to the massive list of moves elsewhere in the mag, here are all the combat codes we know about at the moment. They should be entered on the battle screen. Player 1 controls the first 3 figures and player 2 controls the next 3. The number corresponds to the number of times each button needs to be pressed for the correct symbol to come up. Wow. I never knew about that or remembered. What else have we got? Panzer Dragoon's Vi. As an added bonus, it's great, really, in brackets, you can kill yourself during the game by pressing L, R, A, B and C at the same time. Okay, so it sounds useless. But if you're aiming for maximum 100% kill ratio and you miss an enemy, you can use it to restart the level. Oh, that's not bad. If it doesn't take away a life, that'd be quite good. Guardian Heroes. To find a hidden challenge at the Colosseum, play through until you reach levels 3, 4 or 5. Keep running to the right, only stopping to beat people up when the screen stops scrolling. Moving into the distant plane and keep running until the end of the stage. You'll notice a small wooden sign, and when you reach it, you'll skip to the Colosseum. If you accept the challenge, you'll fight against gangs of enemies until you want to leave, meaning that you can build up your experience levels early on in the game. Blimey, didn't know that. Off-World Interceptor Extreme. I've never played it. It looks awful. Sounds awful too. Out now, Panzer Dragoon 2. Isn't that Panzer Dragoon Zwei? Same game, isn't it? Although Zwei is the German for 2, so yes. Baku Baku Animal. I've never played or seen a Baku Baku game, but I've heard of a lot of them. Revolution X, that is a shooter game, I think. Yeah, it's a light gun game. With... Is that Mick Jagger? Is that Mick Jagger? I thought Mick Jagger. Alone in the Dark, Jack's back. Remember renting it? Didn't have a clue what to do or where to go. I got about as far as this guy dragging me off and throwing me off a cliff every time. I have played through it recently, actually, on the GOG version. And I did have to follow a little bit of a strategy guide to get going. It's not as good as the first. And the third one is even less good. There's some good English for you. CD Films and Music. Clockwork Knight 2. £40. That was a great game. Actually, no, it wasn't. Cyber Tracker, CD Vision. Are these... Oh, Roadhouse. What are these? Are these... CD Films and Music. I don't even know what medium these are on. Video CDs for the Mega CD. Okay. Wow. I remember when we had a Mega CD, and I think it cost us 220... I say us. It cost my brother £220 at the time. And Terminator 2, I think, or Terminator 1 was out on VCD. And it looked fucking awful. Coin operated Virtua Fighter Kids. Just Virtua Fighter, but with big heads. There's Jackie. And his sister Sarah. I remember being amazed that they're brother and sister. There's a bit of plot in the fighting game. What else we got? Cyberbots. Never heard of that one either. I am not up on my fighting games. Fighting Vipers. That's next month's issue. And more things to buy. It's funny because you've got Game Gear Mega Drive, 32X, Saturn, and the Sega CD. There was a time when Sega had a lot of consoles out at once. These seem to be reiterations of the things we've covered. Legend of Thor? Isn't it Story of Thor? I thought it was Story of Thor. I'm starting to develop a lisp from talking so much. Anything of interest? I bet Battle Arena Toshinden's in here. No, it's not, in fact. I did like that game. I always played as Duke because he could spin around with his big sword. Coming soon to the Saturn, Space Hulk. Not too bad a game. Although, do not play the PC one that's came out because it's absolutely atrocious. Die Hard Trilogy. Great game, of course. Die Hard Arcade was also equally as good. I think that's covered in another one of my magazines. And Street Fighter Alpha Warrior Dreams. So there you go. That's issue 8 of the official Sega Saturn magazine. A bit of a relic. And just in case you're interested, I did find quite a few more, which I might have a look through. Here's some Sega Mega Drive ones. Some Dreamcast ones. You'll be able to see. Don't want to spoil them too much. There's a lot of official Saturn ones in here. Quake. A demo disc came with that one. You can tell. Nights into Dreams. This one I picked up. PC Gamer with the world exclusive of Half-Life. Unfortunately, it's missing the back cover. In fact, I might have actually ripped that off to order something. Yeah, these are great. And here's something really old, which I don't know if any of you will ever seen. The World at Your Fingertips. Serious fun for all the family. Advanced Console Entertainment. This was basically like just a catalogue of just everything, I think, from what I remember. I think that page came out. It's very flimsy old paper. I'm surprised that I managed to keep in such good nick, to be honest. I think it's a supplement in a magazine, so I'll be careful with that one. I don't know for the life of me what magazine this is. I think it's a complete cheap magazine, but I might get through to looking through that at some point. Lots of Sega ones, and as mentioned earlier, is this the one I was talking about? I don't think it is. Mega Drive Advanced Gaming. It's not Earth, it's another world. It's amazing. But yeah, managed to pick up quite a collection of old magazines earlier. But yes, that's just some of my collection of old magazines I managed to pick up today. There are still more away in storage, and I shall get more if I want to do more reviews. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Cool, look at that. Wizard Lord. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Magician Lord. Bloody hell. I'm having brain farts all day today. I can't remember the name of anything. The Neo Geo Super Graphics. Well, these were good days, these were. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like me to do more videos like this, I'll try and be more coherent and set up the camera a little bit better so I don't almost pass out from leaning over. And I'll try not to slur my words and to be better at reading. Just having a flick through. No! That's it. That's a lot. Cheers!